Today, we're diving into a story of forbidden power, a terrible sin, and a prophecy of absolute, total destruction. This is the Kinnar curse. You know, there's a saying that goes something like this. Karma doesn't ask questions. It doesn't need to argue or debate. It just waits. It waits for the perfect moment to deliver its judgment. You're going to want to keep that in mind as we go. Okay, so let's set the scene. We're at a desolate cremation ground. An Agori sadhu, a mystic known for some pretty extreme rituals, is sitting before the dying embers of a funeral pyre. He's absolutely confident in his power, thinking he can command the very spirits of the dead. He's going through the motions, following the ancient steps perfectly. You can almost see him, his lips moving silently, chanting these powerful mantras that are supposed to bend the supernatural to his will. He offers the sacred ash, fully expecting the spirit to just rise and obey. Everything seems like it's completely under his control. But then, in a blink of an eye, it all goes sideways. The fire, the very thing he's trying to control, doesn't just flicker. It's completely extinguished. And just like that, the ritual is plunged into this dead, terrifying silence. And from that cold ash, a female spirit rises. There's no struggle, no theatrics, just this silent, overpowering presence. Her gaze has what's described as an unbearable authority that doesn't just shatter his confidence. It literally shatters the sacred Rudraksha beads around his neck. Then, a phantom cut appears on his chest. The so-called master of spirits just collapses, now a victim of a power that is so far beyond anything he could have imagined. But the horror doesn't stop at the cremation ground. Oh no, it's just getting started. This unseen force, it follows him. And what began as a single failed ritual quickly turns into the systematic dismantling of his entire world. And this isn't some random bad luck. A freak storm whips up and destroys his ashram. And only his ashram. Every other house in the village is left untouched. The sacred fire he uses for his rituals now dies the second he tries to use it. And then the psychological torment begins. He's haunted by the sound of a child's laughter, this ghostly little girl he sees in the forest who vanishes, leaving just a single chilling whisper behind. The name she whispers is Ashwini. Now, this name means absolutely nothing to him, but it just echoes in his mind. It's a clue to a mystery he can't even begin to understand. Who or what is Ashwini? So, desperate for answers, he goes back to the cremation ground and starts checking the records. He finds out the name of the person whose spirit he tried to enslave, Aparajita. She was a kinnar, a member of India's third gender community. But this discovery, it doesn't solve anything. It just makes him even more confused. So you can see why he's trapped, right? On one hand, you've got Aparajita, the spirit he clearly provoked, who's attacking him. But on the other hand, he's being haunted by this name, Ashwini, which he doesn't recognize at all. Is he dealing with two different spirits? Or is there some connection here that he's just not seeing? Well, the relentless terror finally breaks him. And in that fear, a memory he had buried so deep in his mind comes rushing back with a vengeance. The terrible truth of Ashwini. Turns out, it's not a mystery he needs to solve. It's a sin he committed. And right here, this is the heart of the entire conflict. Ashwini, you see, was a beloved teacher among the kinnar. She actually preached against the very superstitions that the sadhu used to make his living. To her community, she was a leader. But to the sadhu, she was a threat to his authority, a threat to his power. And so, he branded her a witch. And his memory doesn't spare him a single horrific detail. He didn't just disagree with her. No, he orchestrated her murder. He turned the village against her with lies, led this sham ritual to condemn her, and then, with his own hands, he was the one who lit the fire. And as Ashwini burned her kinnar community, they didn't beg for mercy. They didn't cry. They pronounced a curse. A prophecy that his terrible act of violence wouldn't just be answered, it would swallow the entire village whole. So now we snap back to the present, and the sadhu realizes, with this dawning, sickening horror, that the haunting was just the warm-up act. The curse, born in fire all those years ago, is finally about to be fulfilled. He's at a village wedding, desperately trying to find some semblance of normalcy. And that's when the curse strikes. In one single massive explosion, a wall of fire just consumes the entire celebration. The prophecy, that everything will be destroyed, it all comes true in one catastrophic moment. The sadhu runs. He's trying to escape the carnage that he himself caused. But there's no escape, is there? The spirit of Aparajita just materializes right in front of him, blocking his path. His past has finally and literally caught up to him. And in that moment, the all-powerful Aghori sadhu is reduced to nothing more than a beggar. He gets on his knees, pleading for his life, saying he'll do anything, any penance for the murder he now freely admits to. But it's way too late for that. Aparajita lifts him into the air like he's nothing, and as she drags him away, the last of his sacred Rudraksha beads, the very symbols of his spiritual power, fall to the ground one by one. He is dragged back to the exact place where his downfall began, the cremation ground. But he's not there for a new ritual. He's there for his final, inescapable judgment. And this is where karma becomes terrifyingly precise. It's almost poetic. He's thrown onto the same pyre where he first met Aparajita. He's surrounded not by his followers, but by a silent circle of kinnars. And the weapon used to execute him? The very same piece of burning sandalwood he used to murder Ashwini. Every single detail is mirrored. In his final moments, his screams of pain seem to merge with the memory of the woman he killed all those years ago. The fire he once used as a weapon of his hate now becomes his own reckoning. The cycle of karma, which waits so patiently for so long, is now, finally, terrifyingly complete. And that leaves us with one last, haunting question to think about. This sadhu's fate was a perfect, symmetrical mirror of his crime. But does that make it justice? Or was it, in the end, just revenge?